Community quarantine is hereby imposed in the entire of Metro Manila. Are advised to abide by the following guidelines, imposing localized community quarantine. It's just a matter of protecting and defending you from COVID-19.
I'm Nicole V, Balderama, and I'm an online learning student.
I am Joan Mae Baluyot, an online student learner.
I am Lyka Casimiro, a student of online learning.
My name is Crystal Castaneda and I am one of those online learning students.
I am Mika Angela J. Cocal, a student of online learning.
I am Precious Concepcion, a student of online learning.
What peculiar circumstances have you come across during the pandemic?
I think the peculiar circumstances that I experienced during the pandemic is not being able to go outside for a long time because stay at home is implemented and you cannot cross borders. You cannot cross city borders without having a certificate of employment, without having a proper reason that you have business to do in that city. You're not allowed to go outside. So, and also being able to see everyone at home without doing any work. Everyone was just like eating, waiting for the day to pass by. Those are the common scenarios at home during the pandemic.
We experienced financial problems at that time. My parents were both working for pandemic, but they had to stay at home because we were not allowed to go outside due to isolation. As pandemic continues, my anxiety got worse. I am overthinking about my future, especially education. We were not financially stable at that time, as I said, and I didn't think that I would pass in the universities that I applied for.
During the pandemic, there was a time when I lost the ability to smell or even taste. Fortunately, I have only experienced symptoms of COVID-19 or coronavirus disease. After that, I learned how to protect myself against the unseen enemy to the extent to disinfected almost the entire house. In addition, I have learned to safeguard my mental health against anxiety and overthinking through journaling and crafting to express myself better. Until now, I enjoyed having a journal as it helps academically, emotionally, and mentally.
Pandemic has been one of the greatest downfall for us students in terms of status in life, financial, and even emotional and health status. At that time, I experienced all of those. I lost a part-time job, I got myself depressed, I get stressed on how I will sustain my needs as well as my siblings' needs. Yes, I did support them on their other needs to also help the burden of my parents.
As the sudden pandemic emerged, termination of employees is one of the causes. My mother is terminated from her new job, and eventually my father has to leave his work in a company for a very personal reason. This was our lowest time. Although my parents tried their best to survive and conquer the situation, but as their siblings, it affected us too much financially and emotionally. I had a hard time attending classes consistently because we have no internet. I lose the drive to socialize and acquire social anxiety.
Well, this happened during this year. A peculiar experience of mine was when I started my journey as a working student. There was this time where I had to attend an online class while still working. I was a customer service representative for a non-voice account, so there were times where my work schedule clashes with my classes, online classes. So at the time, I was listening to lectures while also assisting customers during my shift.
What difficulties have you faced as a distance learner?
distance learning is even more challenging than the face-to-face setup. In the face-to-face setup, we have to allot a huge amount of time when it comes to commuting, since our transportation system is really problematic. Others might think that the online setup is much more easier because all we have to do is sit here and listen to what our teacher says from the computer. But in reality, it is not. At home, I am not even comfortable to voice out my answers during an online recitation because there is a huge anxiety, a huge self-doubt that's kicking in my mind. And maybe it is stemmed from the reason that I am not really confident and I am not really used into voicing out my opinions at home.
As a panganay or eldest, I experienced doing my brother's homework during synchronous classes, cooking while my professor is lecturing. My priority is my study, but I cannot abandon doing duties at home.
Being an online student, I have faced numerous obstacles in pursuit of learning and surviving every semester. Since learning takes place online and depends on technology and internet connectivity, learning would be impossible if access to the teaching tool were constantly restricted due to lost connections or power cuts. There was also a time when I had a pile of workload which I had never experienced during traditional learning. Being a student who always hits a buzzer beater to submit every assignment, it is hard for me to accomplish a task as I want it to be substantial. Apart from this, there was also a period when I got only 1 hour of sleep to rest as I had the class the next day. These struggles taught me how hard indeed to survive every semester of college.
As a distance learner and a working student, I had a hard time catching up in class. But still, I always try to become a normal student. But yeah, my day is not that normal. I had to attend my class in the morning, and instead of having a sweet dreams and good night, I had to go work and talk with those irate customers. And after that, the cycles goes again. Imagine how life hits.
I had a difficulty in catching up to my classmates and teachers because, as I've said earlier, I had a hard time attending class synchronous session consistently. I felt that I'm running because I don't want to be left behind by them. The lack of study area and internet instability are ones that hinder my learning and immediate adaptability to the remote learning situation.
It was definitely difficult for me to work while still studying. Well, it may be advantageous to work at home and attend classes, but it's still hard. I had 9 hours of graveyard shift and then without rest attend my online classes. It was definitely challenging and very exhausting for me. I felt like I had no time to process things. I couldn't even get enough sleep. And it was unhealthy, but what can I do? It's the only way I can earn while still studying. So I have to take advantage of the time and the opportunity.
What are your motivations in pursuit of your aspirations?
Escape poverty. That is my motivation. I always imagine what it is like without poverty. I always imagine how it would feel buying things without looking to its price tag.
My motivation is education. Being a scholar, I do not have to pay for everything, my tuition, my education. So I need to study hard. I see myself in the future holding my diploma and working for my future. Education is important for me, so I need to finish it.
Despite my struggles, I have never considered giving up, as my dreams and motivations drove me. Since quitters never win, and winners never quit. As an aspiring accountant and lawyer, I know I have not come this far only to come this far, as I was anchored from the beginning. Besides, my family always motivates me every step of the way, as they have always been my safe place and backbone. Also, my goal of providing for my family, buying my needs and wants with my own money, and being of service to others have been envisioned as my future. Thus, I must act now more than ever to make that vision a reality.
I know this is the most common, but yeah, it is my parents, my family, and also, of course, my future. I don't want me and my siblings to experience what my parents went through. That is why I am really obsessed in working. I want to buy my needs once without relying on someone's money. Most importantly, I really want to secure my future as early as now.
Not just as a student, but as an individual, I will do and reach little things for a slow progress than do nothing. I will survive always in all ways for my loved ones as possible as I can for the greater results I've ever wanted to achieve.
Just thinking of having the capacity to provide for my family and for myself, that alone is enough for me to push through. Working gives me financial stability, and continuing my studies is also advantageous for me since I didn't want to stop. I still want to graduate on time, so even though it was difficult sacrificing my well-being, time, and rest, I believe nothing good ever comes easy. So just having a goal with the right amount of motivation helps me in times of doubt.
What are your realizations or thoughts throughout the pandemic?
There is one thing that I realized throughout this pandemic. Living today is hard and expensive. And that is the same as acquiring online education. Why? Because it truly shows the gray line that separates the privileged from the unprivileged. Because there are some staple needs that the student need in order to survive the online learning, but they can't afford it.
My family is not rich. I must do everything so I can graduate. My eagerness to graduate grew more when COVID-19 hit us. I need to achieve my goals to be able to be successful in my career path for myself and for my family. Being the eldest and being the only girl made me mature. I learned to be wise and safe handling my problems. I realized that I need to be wise in making decisions in life.
The pandemic has shaken the entire world, causing a domino effect on the economy, health, education, and society. Many individuals lost their lives as they became the stars in the sky. Hence, this pandemic taught me how to make the most of every minute or second, since time is indeed gold. I also realized we need to take care of our health, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, or socially, as our health is the precious wealth that will guide us toward our success and happiness. Lastly, I learned that I need to grab every chance and say the words left unsaid, since we can never turn back time. Thus, do it and say it, as you do not want yourself to be regretful in the end.
Pandemic has been rough, but throughout the pandemic, I did see myself improve and got productive. I have tried a lot of things that I never knew I could. Pandemic taught me how to be strong and have a broad mind when it comes to life. It made me realize how things are done when you try to go beyond that comfort zone. There is so much more.
Through the pressure and expectation my family have for me, I slowly get determined to overcome obstacles. Through time and the situation finally sinks in, I realized that there's no point at being stuck and not moving forward for the factors that affected me and my family, because the situation is already there. Yes, it is not easy, but we just need unity and resilience to get over the problem we were experiencing.
I say don't take anything for granted, and I say that from experience. We had a lot of time during the pandemic and we were in isolation, so making the most out of it was just one of the things that I did. For me, I tried getting a job, spending more time with my family, and sustaining my relationship with them.
pandemic hits vulnerable, being resilient is a must.
I am still believing that my education and my desired profession will be the key that will free me from the cage of poverty.
Impoverishment can make the eagerness of people grow to achieve their goals and dreams.
Keep protecting, loving, and improving yourself, as you are an asset of the future, by the future, and for the future.
Set your mind that you can conquer struggles and survive things always and always there is.
Life has a lot of challenges along the way, so I'd like to think of this one line from one of my favorite films of all time. It says, "Carpe diem," meaning seize the day.
I know all of us are struggling on how to live a normal life today, but what can I leave you as the quotation from Hunter in the movie Fall. Have you already watched that one? Where she said, "Life is fleeting. Life is short, too short. So you gotta use every moment. You have to do something that makes you feel alive."